Hey, what's up, YouTube? Welcome back to another session, Dorsey's Resource. First, before we get started, I'd like to give a disclaimer. This video is for informational and educational purposes only. Please understand that everyone's individual circumstance or situation may be different. It's up to every individual competent person to do his or her own research or homework if they feel otherwise. This information is not to be construed as legal advice. If you need to seek a competent professional attorney or CPA, please do so at your own leisure. Dorsey's Resource will not be held liable for any misuse of the information. With that said, I reserve all my rights. Now let's get started. Okay, I wanted this video to provide some more insight behind how the elites operate. You all may have watched some of my previous videos about the Iraqi dinar. In my opinion, I do feel it's being held up by an elite criminal cabal. I did give a disclaimer. This is from my opinion. And I feel that there are elite people who don't have our best interest at heart, and they use the monetary system as a weapon against us. And one of my other videos I'm going to do in this series, I'm going to link it to this video probably to provide you all visuals, because I want my viewing audience to know that I have concrete evidence. I want you guys to have reputable facts, evidence. I base it behind multiple sources. But these people, they use different strategies to avoid jail time. But keep in mind, these are not benevolent people. They're very evil people that don't have our best interest at heart. There are people out there that have openly said they want to see the world's population reduced at over 90%. And some of you all out there may say, what does this have to do with the Iraqi dinar or the holdup of the Vietnamese dong? Well, it has a lot. For a long time, in case some of you all don't know some of the brief background and history behind the banking institutions, I recommend that you all go on YouTube, which you can watch for free while the internet is still open base. You can still search things. And there's a few movie documentaries on YouTube that I recommend in my personal opinion. If you haven't watched Money Masters, this is an excellent film. Monopoly Men, it's another film. A lot of people told me they woke up to that movie, especially if you work in the banking system. Even if you're a lower level teller at an entry level position, these documentaries will provide excellent overview. Also, Aaron Russo's movie called Freedom to Fascism. I also recommend watching Alex Jones' movie called Endgame that talks about the Bilderberg Group, not to be confused with the movie that Cuba Gooding Jr. played in. But if you type in Endgame by Alex Jones, it should come up. It's an excellent documentary. I also recommend The Obama Deception. It's another excellent documentary film. Also, The Fall of the Republic by Alex Jones. These are important documentaries to help you connect the dots, because one thing they want to keep the information compartmentalized. With the elites, you'll learn as you go. There's a class system, a hierarchy, a pecking order, a ranking system, and tier system, I'll call it. There are different degrees and status that there are people are at. And if you want to know about, which I touched on in one of my other videos, dealing with the secret societies, the Masons, is a book by William Shinovalin. I had the original book I had, he autographed. If you want to know how the secret societies link up, well, they were created by the aristocratic bloodlines from royalty, and what they did was the people that they wanted to control or oversee their children, they would have them, when they become of age, they would have them join these secret societies or organizations to watch the gatekeepers or lower level people as a process of initiation to groom them, to make sure that they were doing their criminal activities or whatever they wanted them to do. Because keep in mind, these people at the top are not benevolent. We need more people with integrity at the very top. That implies honesty, trustworthiness, loyalty, sincereness. These people use the banking system as a weapon to keep us poor, broke on these 9-to-5 jobs, which I'm ticked. That's one of the reasons why I'm shooting this video. And some people out there want to call me haters. Well, a friend of mine said, on my behalf, actually, these people are the #1 haters in the entire world. Because keep in mind, there is a lot of evidence and proof out there of the extent that these people have done. They have underground facilities to go hide. We know they do false flag events. In case you are wondering what those are staged government events. that they hire operatives to do like 9/11. Over 50% of the American public believes that that was an inside job. That's not conspiracy theory. That's a fact. Many of the families woke up and found out the elites were not happy about that, that many of the 9/11 victims found out that their family members or friends were murdered, part of a big, giant global conspiracy. Conspiracy, a lot of people take that word out of context. Conspiracy means people conspire in secret. And yes, you do have people that conspire in secret. And that's the term cabal. Criminal cabal means when people meet in secret. And some of the big names I may touch on in the other videos, because I still haven't gone as hard as I could, because I'm pissed at these people. I was part of Pastor Tony King's private humanitarian program a few years ago, and the way things took a long time. He had some excellent information. I'm not blaming him per se, but the information that we received was very powerful, but it's like they left us hanging. And frankly, I'm pissed, and a lot of other people are ticked. And these criminal cabal, a friend of mine wired me up and said, hey, man, you need to take a closer look. These people use their foundations and nonprofit organizations for corrupt purposes, where they'll say it's a war on drugs, but in actuality, they'll be funding bringing the drugs into the country, which has been proven many times with Operation Fast and Furious, or the guns and drugs recently with the Benghazi scandal, the Iran-Contra scandal back in the 1980s with Ronald Reagan and Oliver North. So that's just wrong what these people are openly doing. And they need to be more transparent with the American public. We need politicians that have integrity, who are not corrupt. Unfortunately, just to give you an idea, when I mentioned I haven't gone as hard as I could illustrate, depending on the type of feedback I get, is that there are people that don't have our best interest at heart that I can name offhand. Some of them are very high up. Some of them may be at a lower level or at a tier system that ranks pretty high, but not at the very, very top. But you have David Rockefeller, Nelson Rockefeller, Henry Kissinger, George Soros, Bill Gates, Ted Turner, Warren Buffett. Now, Ted Turner has openly said that he's a part of the eugenicists. He wants to see over 90% of the world's population reduced. This is not conspiracy theory. He told Luke Rudkowski, who's an alternative investigative reporter, that openly. You can pull that up on YouTube. Zygmunt Brzezinski, who was behind training Osama bin Laden, because these people, if you don't understand, the CIA is connected with the MI5, MI6. That's like the British version of the FBI, CIA. The Israeli Mossad, that's like their version. The Russian KGB. The CIA is international on a global scale. They are the ones that infiltrate countries. They fund the terrorists, like the Muslim Brotherhood or the Mujahideen. So if you don't understand, you should get John Perkins' book, Confessions of an Economic Hitman. He also is on YouTube. There is information that is public now that you can pull up. So there's no excuses out there for people to say, well, where do we go to find information? Is this stuff conspiracy theory? No, it's not. And if you watch my previous videos, I've proven that. But I want to show you all more evidence. That's why I'm going to link this video with some other information. But some things I didn't like going on in the Iraqi investments. Some of the gatekeepers were trying to say that some people are in this for the wrong reasons. Well, my argument is that we are all in this for the money. Let's be clear on that. What everyone decides to do with their funds once we exchange is their own business. This is a malicious attack on our free will from the gatekeepers who intend to protect this criminal cabal who's holding this opportunity up. It was decided a long time ago that this money was owed to the world, to many of the poor people, the middle class people. That's what the purpose of the prosperity programs were for. And because this is dragged on so long, it's no excuse. They could have allowed the prosperity packages to pay out a long time ago. And it's rumored that some people have already received it because they're part of a privileged pecking order or whatnot. And that's unfair to the people who really need these funds. And some people died. They never even got a chance to even see these funds. And this is just very utterly disgusting, and this is very deceptive. The lies. I listened to some of these conference calls, and I felt like Tony, his calls were very accurate. And I've listened to other conference calls out there, from Randy Kuntz to Oki to Wayne Dang, the Truth Call. The list goes on. And I feel Tony, his calls with TNT are some of the most accurate. And I also want to offer a solution, which I've discussed in some of my previous videos, where I may go into more detail at a later time, like forming alliances with like-minded people, store up food, water, because these globalists, these evil cabal, these wicked people do not want you to be self-sufficient and independent. That's why they want to keep a particular group of people on this welfare class. When I studied in the sovereign movement, that dealt with, believe it or not, with the preppers, or people that are into survival and trying to do for oneself. And we found out later down the line that the elites were trying to hinder that from people learning the information, because these elite people, the children, were trained at private schools by invitation only. They were taught by their parents. Some of them were sent to private seminars where they were mentored personally and helped out tremendously. And that's why many of us have had a difficult time in trying to become financially free. And frankly, I'm pissed, because if I was financially free, I could have been married by now. I could have done a lot more things. And that's the reason why people are frankly upset. More people are waking up to the truth, and they're discovering this fraud that's going on, not just here in the United States, but on a worldwide scale. And like I said earlier, we need people with integrity. Integrity implies honesty, trustworthiness, loyalty, meekness, people who are humble, who are honest, who are going to prosecute these people for their wrongdoings. And please understand, we need proper judicial oversight, because these people are abusing their power. No matter what, if you have diplomatic immunity, they use secret security clearances and private trust funds to shield themselves behind. When they are abusing these privileges, we need proper judicial oversight from politicians and congressmen who will act to prosecute these people who are doing these criminal activities. They're laundering drugs, bringing guns into the country. They run child trafficking rings. So these people, as you can see what I've displayed, are not using their money for benevolent purposes. They're using it for corrupt purposes, and they're using these structures with these banking strategies. I don't have any problem with having trust or with anyone being wealthy, but understand from this video that these people are not using it for a benevolent manner. They're using it for corrupt purposes, and they need to be prosecuted and arrested immediately. Interpol, which stands for the International Police, really needs to be on top of the job. You need to put pressure on your local law enforcement agencies and people. A special task force needs to be formed to go after these people, track their assets. If it's found that they are running child trafficking rings or abusing their power or funding guns into the local communities, into drug street lords and gangsters, where they'll leave a bunch of guns on a train or a truck empty and leave it in the middle of a bad neighborhood so bad guys can get access. These people do things like this and understand this, and then they also pay people off. They lobby money to politicians and things. So we're dealing with a very corrupt criminal structure. But like I say, if we can get more people that have integrity, then there can be proper checks and balances put in place to ensure that moral guidelines are being adhered to. If proper guidelines are not being adhered to, then these people with the diplomatic status who are abusing this authority, their status needs to be revoked. Their secret security clearances need to be revoked if wrongdoings are found. For example, if an individual has a bank account that's attached to a corporation or multiple trusts that's poisoning our food by lobbying and supplying Monsanto money, or paying off the Food and Drug Administration, they need to be stopped. Flat out, they need to be arrested immediately, because these people, that's another thing they do. Like the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation was found pumping money into Monsanto and things. And keep in mind, these people were involved in eugenics. Also, the Ford Foundation, Warren Buffett, even he's part of it. His organization, Berkshire Hathaway, donated a lot of money to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. It's the same, birds of a feather flock together. These people are very criminal in their nature. And keep in mind, they secretly hide behind many of these entities, and they need to be held accountable and stripped of all their wealth and privileges, especially if wrongdoings are found. So a massive investigation and task force needs to commence immediately after abuse or negligence has been found. And also, these people use private security that they're guarded behind, like Blackwater. You have even other versions like Craft International. So it makes it difficult sometimes when FBI or good law enforcement or good people who do work within our government try to go after these people, it intimidates them. But we do have a lot of good people within the FBI, within the CIA, so I'm not anti-government. I want to make that clear. I'm anti-corruption. And as I've explained and illustrated, I've given you concrete evidence and facts. That's how these people can be stopped. And like I say, to reiterate, the Congress people, the good people, can form a fund to create a task force to properly arrest these individuals in case they don't want to cooperate and turn themselves in. Liberal representatives, liberal congressmen can partner with private sector people who have integrity to help fund and finance a highly skilled and highly trained task force on the equivalent level of Navy SEALs and Joint Special Operations Command to go after these people who are found. Because keep in mind, your children won't have a future. And even if you serve the government, if you're military or law enforcement, we need good people, loyal people who have integrity. Or if these criminal, evil people are allowed to take over, they're just going to destroy the entire planet and the entire world. They do not have our best interest at heart. And keep in mind, I'm going to say this one last example, that former Senator Nancy Schaefer was murdered for exposing the corruption. She was a strong advocate against homosexual marriages and child trafficking rings. Now, I won't get into the homosexual marriage thing, but as you can see, there is an agenda that is being pushed by the mainstream media that's being backed. I won't go into that. If that's how you are, that's your own personal business. But keep in mind, these people are so evil and wicked that they go to great lengths to murder people to push their political agendas because they lobby money to different campaigns. That's how corrupt this criminal cabal is. And Nancy Schaefer, she was out of Georgia, I believe. She was a senator at one time. She also ran for mayor of Atlanta. And they also murdered Princess Diana because she was one of a few that was pure in her bloodline. She got pregnant by an Egyptian prince, and she was ordered by the Queen of England's husband, Prince Philip, by her ordered to hit, thanks to Chris Everard's information, who's an excellent researcher and historian over in the UK. And it was recently admitted in a book that came out from a elite British Royal Ranger who admitted he was involved in the plot in the tunnel to murder Princess Diana. So there's many good people who are coming out, who are exposing this information, who are not afraid to put their life on the line, because keep in mind, as it says in the Bible, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against the principalities and powers in darkness. And understand that no weapon formed against it shall prosper, for God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. It mentions in the scripture, put on the whole armor of God so that when the day of evil comes, that we may be prepared. Now, please understand that we should not conform to the ways of this world, but be ye transformed. And understand that greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. And yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, but I shall fear no evil. For thou art with me, thy rod, thy staff, thou comfort me. Thou preparest the table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever and ever. And with that said, I want to thank you all out there for watching Dorsey's Resource. For those who took the time to watch, please don't forget to like my video, rate, comment, and subscribe. I sincerely thank you. Until next time, Dorsey's Resource. Take care.